Hey everybody, welcome to another reviewed episode with the Sotong sisters Delia and Jazz. We are here to talk about the most recent episode of This Is Us that just came out this past week.
Yay, yay.
So you guys know we left off in kind of a cliffhanger. Is Kevin gonna make it? Is he not gonna make it? What's gonna happen? So all that was revealed in this episode this past week.
I told y'all he was gonna make it.
Absolutely. I know that I figured they wouldn't show us how he made it. Like they didn't really explain because that would probably be illegal to be like, yeah, the TSA agent let me through without my ID. So I figured they wouldn't exactly show all of that, but we knew he was going to make it. So that was, right at the moment. Although I did like that he came in and he heard Randall's voice. Like that was the moment he came in.
Yeah, he walked in, he was like, Randall?
Right. Not like he came in while she was pushing or like, you know what I mean? Like he came in hearing his brother on the phone with his woman, trying to keep her calm and help her out, which I thought was really great. So I like that part.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Randall and Beth always holding it down. Like we can always count on them to come through no matter what. So yeah, I loved that.
Yeah. I loved how when it was time for for her to get the epidural, and Beth was like, Randall, she was like, you shine, baby, this is your part. Like, because he's done it, twice already now.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. It was interesting. I think it was a good episode. I actually really liked this episode. I really loved how they brought back, the teenagers. And we got to see a little bit more of them and kind of how they're growing up. They look so different. Like you can tell, they're growing up in real life and we're seeing them mature and grow up in real life. Teenage Randall's voice dropped. I don't know if y'all peeped that, but homie's voice dropped.
I didn't even pay attention. Yeah, I missed that. But yeah, I love the flashbacks. I just love old school Jack and Rebecca. I always love seeing them. So yeah, it was definitely a better episode from the previous one. Yeah. It was more interesting. I got on Instagram just to see what people were saying about the episode, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I loved it. I cried, all this. But you know what's interesting? Which this might be more of a Sotong session point than a reviewed segment point, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
Say it.
I find that on Instagram, the comments are a lot more positive when the storyline is centered around Kevin versus Randall. So back when Randall had like his situation going on, and like especially the episode where he tells Kate like it is regarding like Black Lives Matter, all that, the comments on IG were mad negative. And it was mostly like people saying like, how could he turn his back on his white fan, like all this. But then when it's a white character at the forefront of the story, it's all love. So I'm just like, come on, y'all. Like, really?
No, that's a really good point. And I think that I saw that too, even with people just being a little bit like upset at the storyline and where it was going with the Black Lives Matter movement and the pandemic, people being like, why do we have to throw politics into it? Why do we have to throw all this stuff into it? We did talk about this a little bit on the Sotong, one of our Sotong episodes, in terms of like what people want to see and experience when they want just like an escape, right? And like watching a TV show. But you also see it play out in these little moments where it's the characters and what the choices that the characters make and how people perceive or what people perceive they should do. So when Randall kind of takes a step back, people don't perceive that as he needs to do, or majority of white people don't perceive that as he needs to do that for himself, or he's taking his time for himself. Like even Kevin, I think a lot of people kind of see it from Kevin's perspective. Like you're my brother, you've been in our family, what do you mean, like why are you doing this, instead of being able to see it from, no, like he needs to take time for himself. And that goes beyond, it goes beyond a black or white thing. Like I think it definitely in this situation, it's a, there's the black or white element to it. But I think it goes even beyond that with just like within families. Sometimes you need to take a step back from your family for yourself. Like sometimes you need to take care of you and yours. And you can't always be there for everybody else in your family all the time. And that's hard. And you might get a lot of flack from the other people around you for that. But, if that's the decision that you have to make for you and yours, then you have to make it, So I loved that Randall did that. And then I do love that they're bringing in the racial piece of it so that they can kind of open up that Pandora's box, I guess, a little bit and see what happens. So I did like that Kevin and Randall kind of had that conversation towards the end.
Yeah.
Where Randall was like, if you're willing to have that conversation, I'm ready to have it with you.
Yeah.
But then still taking care of his brother, like, but not today.
Yeah.
Like today is your day to celebrate with your family. I want you to go do that. And when you're ready, when the time is right, then you and I can sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah. And I don't know that Kevin even realizes the magnitude of that conversation. Like, boy, this ain't no delivery room conversation right now, no waiting room conversation. It's not even a conversation. This is something that you unpack over time. You know what I mean? So anyways, back to the episode.
Yeah, just put a little bit of that in there, but of course. But okay, so when they started with Nasir, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. When they started with him and his story, in my head, I'm like, okay, who's he connected to? Who's he connected to? Yeah. Whose grandfather is this? Whose daddy is this?
Exactly.
Like, what storyline? Where are we pulling this in? All of that. I'm trying to figure it out. And it wasn't until he was in the kitchen with his wife and he was trying to explain what it was that I was like, oh, this man invented FaceTime.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really dope. I love the way that they put that in there. And I'm just like, how did you even think to write that? Or like, where did that inspiration even come from? You know?
Yeah, that was really cool. But you're right. They do keep us on our toes with throwing these random characters in there. And it's like, hold up, we got somebody new. It's like, look at the family tree real quick and figure out where this branch fits. Yep. But yeah, that was really cool and definitely relevant to today with COVID and everybody having to stay virtual to keep in touch. For sure. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. And I've been seeing a couple of different articles now about him out and about since this episode came out, which I think is really cool that, he's getting kind of public recognition.
As he should.
For building this technology that has literally saved lives at this point, So I think that's great.
Yeah. I think the part in the episode that cracked me up initially was when they showed Toby in the hospital parking lot tailgating. I was like, this man he had the whole entire setup and it was so funny. I was like, first of all, the fact that he's there, I wanted to be like, dude, just go home. Like, it's okay. There's FaceTime. You can call Kate. Like, just go home. You don't need to be in the parking lot tailgating like that.
See, they're in California where it's warm. Like, he's chilling. It's not like he's sitting out in the wintertime outside in the cold or something. Like, he was fine.
I mean, the mom was only 2 centimeters dilated and he's out. I'm like, it's gonna be a while, buddy.
That's why he was ready. He had his whole stuff. He had his cooler, his lawn chair. I'm sure he had his snacks. He had his phone. He was watching stuff. Like, he was good to go.
It was so funny. But yeah, the whole storyline with him and the guy and then
Rose,
the wife
with the pigs. Oh,
that was sweet.
I thought that was really sweet. And then when he picked Rose as the middle name. Oh my God.
I was like, that baby's gonna be named Rose one way or another, either first name or middle name for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I did like that the storyline with the baby and with Kate, went the way it went, instead of there being this big like, oh no, she's gonna take the baby back and this is gonna be traumatic.
But did you get nervous though? Did you get
They did
nervous
lead
for a
up to
second?
it. Yes, because
Yeah.
she was like, I think I want to hold her. And then she was like, I think I want time with her. And poor
Yep.
Kate, you could just see she was like, I can't say no. This is this woman's child, but like I'm scared too. Like I'm legit worried,
Yeah.
But and I know that happens to so many people. I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine what that feels like. I mean, you're sitting there and you're looking at this baby that you're supposed to be able to take home, and then the birth mom with in every right, changes her mind. And it's hard for both women.
Yeah, on both ends for sure.
You
But I got a little nervous. I was like, oh, here it is. It's about to fall apart at the midnight hour. I was like, this is it. And then I liked that the birth mom had that talk with the baby. Like that was really sweet. That was a sweet moment to see. And then, Kate getting her time and then them FaceTiming with everybody to introduce the new babies. That was really cool.
That was cool. The new big three.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, it is the big three.
It's so fun. I like that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, what did you think about, so, kind of going to from the flashbacks with Rebecca and Jack into present day Rebecca at the cabin with Miguel now,
Yeah.
like we saw the two different ends of that.
Yeah, so I was like, what is her thing? Why is she so obsessed with the kids and like always like needing to be there? I was like, it seems a little too much. But then with the painting, the blobs of handprints that we saw with the story, it made sense. Like, she promised him that she would be there, she wouldn't miss a thing. Like, and I get that. And she is that mom to be like super supportive and to want to be there for every single thing. So once they brought it full circle, it made a lot more sense. Just the fact that her character is in a second marriage and having to navigate that with like her previous marriage with the father of her children and the things that they planned and said to each other. And then now with Miguel, like it's kind of unfair to him, but then it's like, I don't know. It's tricky. Yeah. It's like,
it's not just another man who was like somebody new that she met who doesn't know her first husband. This is her first husband's best friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so even when she said to him, she was like, I acknowledge that Jack's death means something different for you, and that you've had to kind of like, in some ways he has to have a guard up against it, because he can't, not that he can't, but like I'm assuming that this is what they meant, but that like he can't fully let himself be in that role with her, if he constantly thinks about the fact that he's with his best friend's wife. You know what I mean? Like he has to have a barrier there. And then what that means for him as a man, what that means for him as his best friend, for his best friend, in that relationship that they had, and then what it means for him as this man who loves this woman. But I did like that they had those kind of like we saw those dual pieces of Rebecca from in her youth to now in her elder age. And I think even with the Alzheimer's, that piece plays into it too, about her like wanting to be there and not wanting to miss big moments, you know what I mean, so that she can remember and hold on to as much as she possibly can.
Yeah,
you kind of saw that like urgency and panic a little bit too.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I guess because they haven't referenced her Alzheimer's in a couple episodes, I almost forgot for a second. But what you're saying makes complete sense, that everything is that much more precious to her now that, her memory is like deteriorating a little bit. But I don't know. Overall, it was a good episode. I think everybody's storyline was really interesting and captivating. It kept us kind of like on our toes a little bit. It was sweet a little bit. I don't know. It kind of had a little bit of everything. So I definitely loved this week's episode.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let us know what you guys thought about this episode. Comment, Send us a message on Instagram or here on YouTube, wherever. We want to know what you guys think about each of these episodes. We want to know what your take is on the storylines and the characters. And as always, stay tuned for our reviewed episode next week.